Hey everyone, it's Jack, and a little while ago, Green Gay and Black Boy tweeted about how Cynthia's performance as Dracula in Snatch Game should have gotten the Lexi Love treatment. By Lexi Love treatment, they mean when Lexi continually broke character as Gilbert Gottfried and stopped jokes halfway through tempting them and was praised for the lack of commitment to the performance.
It was so truly awful, it rounded the corner back to good again.
And then give up midway through was so hilarious.
The number one thing they always say in Snatch Game is to just make Rue laugh, and she definitely did that in season 17, but this type of critique comes so infrequently, so I wasn't surprised when we didn't see it again for Cynthia. You can see that Rue was laughing at Cynthia's jokes, and honestly, she got me with some of them too, like the phlebotomist joke.
Before you were a count, did you hold any other titles?
Yes, phlebotomist.
Yet she still landed in the bottom because they didn't truly like her impression, and her runway didn't stack up either. Black Boy had some other queens who he believed should have gotten the Lexi Love treatment, including Yara Sofia as Amy Winehouse, Vanity Vane as Loreen, or Peppermint as Nene Leakes.
Describe your personal style in 3 words.
Nails. No breast. Oh, that's 3.
Yeah.
I could definitely see it for the first 2, but Peppermint's Nene, yeah, I don't know about that one.
If her weave was on any tighter,
What would happen?
her head would explode.
Oh, bloop.
All of this got me thinking though, what are some of the so bad they're good performances on Drag Race? Performances that truly do not fit what was asked out of the performer, and yet it has somehow retroactively been adopted as an entertaining and loved performance. Coming back to the Nene Leakes example, I think there's a really fine line between so bad it's good and just plain bad, and that line will be different for each person. I find Peppermint's performance just awkward and hard to watch, but I can see how some people love the bloops. So if you have some performances that you love, even if for no real good reason, comment them below. Let's start off with some other Snatch Game performances, with one of my absolute favorites being Jada Essence Hall playing Prince on All Star 7. I love that Jada made this choice because it serves as a callback to one of her best moments on her original season, the 1999 lip sync. However, I don't know how much Prince was actually in her performance. The energy and the outfit were there, and Jada was selling whatever she was trying to do, but the answers made no sense at all. My favorite moment comes when RuPaul attempts to volley with her, and instead she just does a little lip quiver and doesn't say anything.
What were you dreaming about, Prince?
The lack of an answer was funnier than almost anything she could have said. The vibes of the Snatch Game were just so high that the queens could swing as wacky as possible and it would probably hit. Old Road had no business getting that big of a laugh, but Jada had the perfect level of stupidity that is needed to sell a bad impression.
Clown.
Clown.
Old clown
Old
road.
clown
Are we still
road.
on that question?
Yeah.
I wrote old. Old road.
This Snatch Game is one of 2 that we see in the episode, and it still runs for so long. We see so many of Jada's answers, and each time it doesn't really improve on the impression, but it does improve on the entertainment. I also want to touch on Utica's impression, which, hear me out, the look makes no sense, the voice was wrong, but there's something about the answers that I really enjoy. Utica loves an awkward moment, and I think that's what we really saw with her comedy on season 13, especially something that we saw later in the roast set. Here, she stretched the jokes out, she ate paint, and somehow I kind of loved it. I don't know, something about the way that she was spraying the card with a deadpan look, I like the attempt. This is not a good Bob Ross impression at all, but for some reason, I just fall for Utica. Originally, I was gonna put Trixie's RuPaul impression on this list, but watching it back, I do think that performance is just plain bad. Like, I'm trying to only really touch on so bad they're good performances, but I really just don't know what she was going for here, because she did this impression on Un, and even there, I didn't really think it made sense for RuPaul. But watching back this Snatch Game, someone that was bombing right alongside Trixie that I actually really enjoyed was Chi Chi DeVayne as Maya Angelou. It was a rough start for Chi Chi's Snatch Game, with her misspelling the person's name who she was impersonating, and then immediately missing the answer of why the cage bird sings, which I feel like she should have known was immediately going to be asked. Nicole Byer tells a story of her coming up with an answer rounds later, which is kind of shown in the episode.
Was asked, why does the cage bird sing? And she said, I don't, 20 minutes later, said, I know why the cage bird sings.
After all that though, her answers were pretty good and rhymes, which I think was the main thing that she needed to go for an impression like this. She got off on the complete wrong foot and never recovered, but those ended up being the best bits. Coming back to Yara Sofia's performance in season 3 Snatch Game, this is an all-timer clip for Drag Race that I wish would go viral like every other month. You know the clips that you see all the time that people retweet because they just can't get over them? Yara Sofia trying to do a British accent needs to be there.
How are you gonna do that? Well, I be watching Harry Potter. Harry Potter, yeah.
Yes, a few ones.
Snatch Game had yet to solidify as a main stage challenge that separated the true competition from the rest, so a lot of the queens were just throwing something at a wall of a person that they liked, and I'm pretty sure that's how Yara landed on Amy Winehouse. There was maybe some French or German that got thrown in there. I don't really know what Harry Potter she was watching, but it definitely made for a memorable performance. And finally, we all know that season 14 Snatch Game is the worst. I can see where queens like Bosco or Lady Camden were going with their performances, like the jokes had potential, and I think if they caught Rue on a different day, she would have laughed at what they were doing. Georges also was at least going for it, and the image of her stuck in boomerang mode is like burned into my brain. But I think my favorite out of the Bad Bunch was Angeria's Tammy Brown. Tammy is such a unique person that I see what Angeria was doing and I feel like I got the essence down, but basically anything she said made absolutely no sense, which I guess is kind of in line with Tammy.
Am I right, Tammy Brown?
Oh yeah, because I saw him walking her children in nature.
Moving past Snatch Game, we can look at some musical performances like a queen's verse, or in our first case, a group's entire song. The Girls of Dragometry has truly stood the test of time out of all the songs that were in the episode on season 8. This was the week where they had to make an 80s style new wave girl band and write a whole original song. Honestly, one of my favorite challenges from this season, and a pretty tough one at that. The Girls of Dragometry landed in the bottom for this performance, yet I bet you can remember how this song goes much more than the winning group. This was the week that Robbie Turner won. Does anyone remember that? Dragometry is such a popular reference, showing up in about every Drag Race edit, which is where I think it got its most love. If you listen to the song across the room at the lowest volume, I think you can get what it's going for. Basically accepting whatever shape you come in, but the way it's executed is so weird. I think their delivery was aiming for something like the B-52s, but it more comes off like they're just out of breath. Never in a million years would I expect for this to be something on Drag Race, but I'll be damned if
We are the girls of Dragometry, rectangle girls of the world.
doesn't pop into my head at least once a week. Long live the rectangle girls of the world. A performance that I've talked about a couple times on here and a ton of times over on Twitter is Raj's Titanic verse. Funny enough, it's another Decades girl group challenge where this time they had to form Y2K girl groups. They wrote verses that would be very topical at the time, and Raj's fits almost too well. She jammed in so many references to the point where it's hard to decipher what it all meant right away. So many 2000s references, and they all are loosely tied together by this verse. And what ties the entire performance together is Raja not knowing most of the words to it. The way she's bouncing back and forth on the stage, not a care in the world, just looking flawless. It's a mesmerizing watch. The verse was definitely make reference first, make sense later, and I think Atlantic Records really needs to sign her. One of the most insane verses that I think a lot of you know on social media if you didn't watch the season is Xana's verse from Canada's Drag Race season 5. I'm so sorry to Xana because I feel like people have dragged her so much for this, but it is just truly the most off-kilter thing I've ever heard, and it's probably like what it would sound like if I tried to write a verse.
We're not friends, you're a means to an end. No matter how many notes you send. Caught you trying to steal my men? I don't play pretend. Girl, I've got friends.
There's no rhyme scheme, using things like pretends to rhyme with friends, and then saying you have major split ends, and then going to fake number 1 in first place.
You've got major split ends. Fake number 1 in first place. I can read phony all over your face. Blast off into outer space. Signed, sealed, delivered, and the case.
When people are critical of Drag Race verses as a whole, I feel like this is something that they would point towards, saying that everything sounds like this. Of course, there are a ton of really great Drag Race verses, but this is definitely like the most Flanderized of all of them. And that's honestly kind of why I really like it. It's so awful, but I catch myself watching it anytime I see it, and it makes me laugh every time. There's a ton of other verses that I could talk about as so bad, but they're good. But I think this is a video concept that I can make another video out of, so I'll save those for next time. Another performance that's from a verse writing musical that goes viral on Twitter all the time is Gothy Kendall's performance in UK vs. the World 2. This is the British version of the Lexi Love treatment critique, with Graham Norton eating up every single thing that Gothy is doing, even if it's so not in time with what everyone else is doing. It's all so in line with what you've come to expect for her on Drag Race, which is like, it sounds like a read, but it's not because it's so charming. She was lost a lot of the time, but she kind of just went with it, and the judges ate it up.
Gothy, I really enjoyed you in the challenge. Maybe for not the right reasons. So stressed and upset, you didn't seem to mind.
You were like, oh, go on then.
Thank you so much for being such a good sport. You know, the truth is, everyone does really love you.
It was pretty refreshing to see someone so celebrated for messing up that much in a performance, because it shows that it's okay to have a laugh and give it your best try even if you may not fully be ready. And Gothi was such a good sport with all of this. She went into the season as the UK pork chop and truly had nothing to lose by being there, so even if she kept pushing herself and it was getting a little too hard, she was gonna do it, just a couple beats behind everyone else. Another musical performance where a queen just powers through what they know is not going well is Eve 6000's performance on the Circus Musical of Canada's Drag Race Season 2. A lot of people missed this incredible season of television, but if there's one moment that you saw from the season, I'm pretty sure it's this. Eve has a really good voice, but for some reason she couldn't nail the note, and that threw her off from the start. The reveals kept going wrong, with her wig not staying on, but she powered through it and picked it up to immediately take it off again. It's a performance that sticks with you on every level. It could be years from now, and I could still so easily see and hear it when I close my eyes. To be honest though, I could extend the "so bad it's good" tagline out to basically half the performances in this musical. These performances were either some of the best we've ever seen or some of the worst. There was no in between at all. A lot of it comes down to the fact that they were singing live, which messed up a lot of timings. You have the classic Drag Race musical trio, who could not get their timings down because I think they were out of breath for a lot of it, and Isis and Stephanie doing the dance break to complete silence, then cutting to Brooklyn wincing. It is such juicy entertainment.
Dance break.
Easily top 3 Canada's Drag Race episodes and like top 5 musicals. Definitely give this one a watch if you haven't. Another Canada episode that I'll briefly touch on is the Snatch Game the Musical from Canada vs. the World Season 2. I think this challenge was extremely ambitious, but also just pretty bad, more so just because it falls flat. But it did give birth to my favorite out of context saying, "What do you mean you're playing Ron DeSantis as a baby and Snatch Game the Musical?" None of those words should ever be uttered together. Moving on to talent shows, we have one queen that is unmatched when it comes to So Bad It's Good. That being Mayhem Miller. All Stars 5, she opened up so strong, doing her iconic eye trick, something that she's known for and something that was so entertaining. Like if you just watch the first 20 seconds, you think she's gonna be in the top. And then she unfortunately forgets the words to the song that she wrote. It's a hard watch, and I really think they played up her mic audio to hear her mess up even more. But this one is made even funnier by the fact that on UK vs. the World Season 2, it's a story beat that she forgot her words and she's determined not to forget them this time. She gets up on that stage to do a comedy performance, makes herself laugh, and then forgets her entire set. Just like with Gothi, she is such a good sport about all of this, and I just think it's so hilarious to mess up really bad once to the point where it almost sends you home, beat it into your brain that you can't mess up in that way again, and then immediately mess up in that way again. And to get thrown off by your own joke because it made you laugh, there is no better way to go out of competition. One of the most viral talent shows that I do think falls into So Bad It's Good would be Let Loose by Lucy LaDuca. After this performance happened at the beginning of season 15, people kind of just moved on from it, but then one day one of my friends on Twitter, Shay, just kind of picked it up and was like, wait, this is just amazing. It was a pretty late stage virality that happened much after the initial episode aired, which makes it all the more interesting that it happened and everyone just kind of went along with it. The song is super catchy and also really corny, and the way that it was delivered on the show was so earnest that you couldn't help but fall in love. The stiff moves and the vocals, I don't think they hit in the way that she intended, but they were just the right factors for it to go viral later on. And now anytime someone says that they have to let loose in the competition, you immediately think of Lucy LaDuca. And one last talent show that went viral online for how it was delivered, Not a Soul Can Clock by Monica Beverly Hills. I do feel bad because it took Monica a second to really warm up to the idea that people were loving it, but maybe not in the way that she intended. There were things that people genuinely loved, like she looked gorgeous, and Not a Soul Can Clock is such a catchy thing to say. The biggest issue though was her audio, which wasn't really professionally recorded, like it kind of sounded like it was recorded on a phone, and that led to Not a Soul Can Clock sounding like Not a Soaking Clock or other variations. It's really funny, but not the way that she really intended everything to go down, but I am still glad that she ended up embracing it at the end. I'll end off this video by talking about one of my favorite challenges of all time. It's a one-of-a-kind performance. Can I get an amen from season 5? This is one of my favorite episodes of all time, with the initial recording sequence having some of my favorite moments ever. Coco the entire episode is hating on Detox for putting her in a group with Alyssa and making her go first in the recording. I so often quote her going, "Yep, thanks Detox."
Yeah.
All right.
Great, thanks, Detox.
Well, honey?
Speaking of sequence, this is the episode where Roxy mixes up the words sequin and sequence. The last bit of recording that they do, I cannot understate how much TV gold is here. Alaska, Alyssa, and Detox hamming it up, Jinx just screaming, Ivy actually singing super well. They make Jade look super offbeat, and I just love how she like clutches her stomach and like tries to sing her heart out. They also edit to make Coco not even sing at all, so it looks like she's just so out of place. And of course, we have to mention Where My People At.
Where my people at? Where my people at?
It's really hard to know how sincere they wanted to make this song because it seems to go back and forth over the episode. It's based off of We Are the World, which is a monumental song at the time of its release, but I don't know if they wanted to emulate that for real or not. Rue in the walkthrough keeps asking Queens to make sure it's inspiring, but Relaska talks go much more comedic, Jinx, Ivy, and Jade are really serious, and I still don't know what Alyssa and Coco are doing. The end product throws so much at you, with Jinx's sustained note basically closing out the entire thing, all with a filter that almost rivals season 1. I love it so much, even if I can acknowledge it's not that good. And of course, that is the through line for the entire video. That's about it for me for this video, but there's a ton of other examples, so I'll definitely make a part 2. Thank you so much to my tier 2 patrons, they're so good, it's great. And thank you so much to my tier 3 patrons who would definitely get the Lexi Love treatment. Frankie, Jack, Jose, and Steely. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe to my Patreon too. Comment below some of your favorite So Bad It's Good moments, and I will see you soon with another video.
Rectangle girls of the world.